about her job, my daughter's job with the National Forest Service, which she worked, I think most of you know, she worked in Alaska for many months last year. And this year she's going to be moving to Washington State shortly and working in the National Forest there as well. And one of the things that she's doing is exploring the effects of on the indigenous species that are being threatened in some way. And this is botany, threatened species, not animals. She did this in Alaska. She's doing it again in Washington State, and it got us into a conversation about what is threatened by our modern life. Obviously, climate change and things like species being threatened, but we start talking about humans and how our current lifestyle, what is threatened within us? What are we losing by our modern lifestyle? And instead of just thinking of a species that's threatened, how are we threatened by the way we live? And I mean, we went all around in all sorts of ways, as you can imagine, with this conversation. But one of the things that we came up with was that one of the things that's most dearly threatened in our modern culture is silence and quiet and time for boredom and the ability to be without expectation of being entertained or having to produce. So much of our free time is spent with input coming into us, whether it's, in conversation or with devices or we just don't carve out very much free time. We work a lot. So this is threatened in us, these quiet times where we have spaciousness and lack of, things that we have to do. And it's particularly threatened by our younger generation. All of us grew up without computers. I think everybody's old enough in this group to grow up without computers, certainly without handheld screens. But now, even in line at the grocery store, everybody whips out their phone, right? So there's not even 30 seconds of um, idleness where your mind just gets to wander and you move into that creative realms that boredom or the spaciousness without input really offers us. So in what ways is silence being threatened in your life? And maybe it's not. Maybe you've really done a good job of carving out non-distraction time. But perhaps this is hard for you because you work a lot or because you get distracted a lot. And if it's not silence that's threatened, what is threatened? What has shrunk in your life that you wish was more expansive? So for me, it's free time, just time to play, time to just be creative or be nothing, just kind of lay in the grass and look at the clouds. So, what's threatened in your lifestyle that you wish you could create more abundance around? So, as you sit up straight and tall and find good posture, um, let's just kind of make a little bit of an internal assessment about, is quiet abundant in your life? And quiet doesn't necessarily just mean people not speaking or, no music on or silence. It could be what I mean by that. I think you know what I mean by that, but just this spaciousness around lack of distraction, where we have freedom in our mind to just be without any input. So, are you lacking in this? And are you lacking in something else that you would like to create more of? So what is this for you? Whatever you're thinking of, how does the lack of this impact you in ways maybe that you don't even notice very often? But now that we're paying attention, what's the result of this lack? Has your soul life been impacted in it? And how can you carve out more time, energy, focus, attention toward whatever it is that's needed to create more of this in your life? What what is needed to create more? Can you make a little internal commitment to small steps? It doesn't have to be big bites, small bites into cultivating whatever it is that you need to create more of this space. And imagine this growing. Imagine the abundance of spaciousness, silence, or whatever it is, fill in the blank, whatever it is you're thinking of. What would change subtly in your soul life, in your outlook, in your day to day experiences of presence? Put your palms together at your heart, and let's offer this intention of what we're trying to make space for, create more awareness around. Release your hands. Let's find our way onto our back. One of the things that Neve said to me is when she has silence, she grows. When she has silence, she gets more creative. When she has more silence, she understands herself better. Isn't that beautiful? So, what is it about these things that you're trying to grow inside you? What would improve for you? Okay. All right, so reach your arms overhead and feel a good stretch here. So let's just enjoy coming home to our body. Our yoga practice is part of this gifting to ourselves of paying attention and cultivating presence. And one of the joys of doing yoga at home on Zoom is there's less, there's in some ways more distraction, of course, because you're in your home. But there's also, you're in a very internal space when you're not in physical presence with other people. So enjoy what the gift of that is. Sense of solitude that you might be experiencing sort of right now. We're all together, but you hear my voice, but you're sort of alone. So see if you can let yourself really sink into that sense of self. Bring your knees into your chest and let's rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. Breathing deeply. Hang on to your knees and let's circle a little bit. Just enjoy what is happening around your back. Can you feel the back of your head weight into the ground a little bit more? Can you just enjoy the hips and the feeling across the back of your pelvis? Switch sides, kind of roll the other direction. Notice if you always go the same way first, and that's okay. Just noticing patterns in the body, the ways we prefer to move. Open up the knees away from the center and bring them back in toward. And try to really savor and enjoy subtle movements. Let's kind of hone in on what the hip joints feel like right now and maybe the impact that this has on your sacrum or on your low back. Just enjoy those subtle little sensations. Okay, right knee into your chest, left leg long on the ground. Then let's give a good squeeze. Hug that knee in. And then move around in your ankles and feet. Maybe flex and point or roll your ankles or invert and evert. Maybe wiggle your toes. Breathing well. Let your exhales come all the way out. Make room for your inhales. Switching sides, left knee into your chest, right leg long on the ground. Continue to move your feet and let that movement of your feet kind of translate up into your calves as well. Last week when we were working with that lymphatic class, I don't remember what day we worked on the lymphatics. Remember that movement of the calves and movement of the feet really help to move some of the fluids, both blood and lymph, in your lower legs, the area of most dependency to gravity, back toward the center body. Very good for you to do simple foot and ankle and calf movements. All right, so stretch your limbs out wide, reaching into space. Maybe feel your back arc just a teeniest bit. And now let's wiggle our fingers too, along with our toes. Touch into the very edges of your body. Feel where you are in space. And then when you're ready, come into a nice little ball. Hug your knees in, maybe pick up your head if it feels good. Let your back open. Again, repeating, opening up big and wide, big arc in the body. Exhale, draw the knees in. All right, let's put your head down. Let's cross your right thigh over your left thigh and draw your knees toward your chest. And let's rock just a little bit here, just kind of waking up some of those muscles in your hips, your glutes. And then a little bit of stillness and feel a little teeny pumping action of drawing your knees in and then releasing them away, and drawing them in, releasing them away. So not letting your body get too still in the stretches in the beginning here. And then we're going to reach our legs straight up in the air. Bring your arms up overhead. Feel the length of your spine. Let's bring our feet hip width apart and do some big circles with our feet here. Rolling through your ankles, stabilize through your core. Go the other direction with your circles of your feet. I am breathing well. You can always put your arms down at your sides or out to the sides if overhead is too much. We're going to slowly, slowly lower your legs down toward the ground. When you're ready, a big star once you get down there, no rush. Big star outward. Exhale, knees into your chest again. This time, put your right foot on the ground, left thigh crossing over right thigh. Draw your knees up. All right, so first a little rocking. See what it feels like to just have a little bit of that mobility in your hips. And then perhaps a little pumping where we draw our knees in and release. And draw your knees in and release. Let your head get heavy. No need for our head to do a lot of work just here. And then one more time, reach your arms up overhead. Legs straight up in the air. Feel that stability of your spine as it elongates. Some floating ribs draw down. A little work through your transverse abdominis. We're going to open our legs wide and bring them back. And remember, your arms can be down at your sides or out to the sides instead of overhead if you need a little more support. Some big scissoring open, coming in. I have my toes pointed, but you don't have to. You can try flexing your feet or however you want to have your feet. Breathing deeply. Drawing your knees back in. One more time, head comes up. A big star on the ground. Stretch out wide. And then bring your knees, feet on the floor, knees up. Windshield wiper your knees left and right. Getting into a little bit of twisting. Now you can do this a little deeper. This is especially, I'm going to move my body just in case you need to see this. This is especially good to do on a wood floor. I'm on a rug, so it's not as effective. Sometimes I do this, on my kitchen floor that's wood. But if you want, you can just keep windshield wipering or knees up, feet on the ground. We're going to, drop our knees over to the right. Left foot slides over and then back up. And then right foot slides over, back up. So if you're not sure, the toe stays on the ground. You bring that knee up around or your foot up around to the opposite knee and then switch sides. Okay. If you're not sure, just look at me. Okay. Or you can just do the classic kind of waving back and forth with windshield wiper in your knees. Just getting a little bit more mobility in your back, in that twisting. Sometimes I do this without my toe touching the ground. So just see what feels good in your body. Start to invite the breath. Let the twist start to pump the lungs. We're moving up the body in these movements. Come to neutral. We're going to go up the spine in some openings. So feet on the ground. We're going to move through some rolling bridges. Inhale, pick the pelvis up. Arms come up overhead. And then exhale and ripple your body back down. Okay, a couple more times. Ground through the feet. Lift your hips. Lower your body back down. You do not have to do this very high. I'm not going anywhere near my highest height of this movement, but it's just enough to get your spine to start mobilizing. Breathing deep. And then let's come up and stay. Bring your arms down at your sides for this one. Palms facing up. Roll onto the tops of your shoulders. Ground through your feet. And just pulse a few times with your feet. Press and press and press. So your pelvis is going to lift a little bit and fall a little bit, and lift and fall. A little bit of engagement, a little bit of release. And then pause while you're up there. Open into the breath. Big full breath. And then release your body down. Roll over onto your right side. Knees together, palms together, hands together, right angles with your hips and knees. Inhale, open like a book, spreading open across your chest, feeling a little deeper twisting now as we come hands back. And again, we're moving the whole way. We're not letting stillness come just yet. We'll have some stillness later, but let's start our practice with just some breath and mobility here. Okay, now this one, instead of just bringing your arms straight up and back, let's swing it over our head for a big, like backstroke kind of stroke back to center. You're letting your shoulders mobilize now. How's your breath? All right, and then come back to center. Let's roll to the other side. Palms are together, knees are together, feet are together. And we're gonna open like a book. Stretching open, hand comes behind you, and then back. Feel free to let your knees slide off each other, but also feel free to keep them together. Explore what the different twists feel like. When our knees stay anchored, we keep the twist in the thoracic spine a little bit more fully. And when we slide the knees, our whole spine gets to roll with the movement. There's no pro or con, especially when we're supine like this, when our spine is very supported by gravity. And now palms together, and let's do that backstroke, big circle with the arm, letting your shoulder have some mobility, but in training that the shoulder's not isolated, that the movement of your shoulder and your ribs and your hips all kind of find each other. How's your breath? And then come back onto your back. Again, one more round of twisting. This time, make sure your head's involved. Okay, so as we windshield wiper our knees right, make sure your head turns left. As we go left, make sure your head turns right. The last kind of just opening movement we'll do is let's cactus the arms on the ground, elbows out to the sides, palms, see what happens. Do the back of your hands reach the ground or no? And keep your knees bent, feet on the floor. We're going to reach our arms overhead. And then if you can make contact with the backs of the hands, see if you can keep the backs of the arms touching the ground as you come back to cactus, maybe even lower than a cactus, elbows toward your body, and reach them back up. And we're kind of tracing the ground as we do this. And you might notice that the movement, my shoulder is not healed 100%. I don't know that it ever will be. So my range is very different on one side than the other, and you may notice this too. And then lastly, soles of the feet together. Open up your arms out to the sides, open up your knees out to the sides, and find stillness in your body in Supta Baddha Konasana. And our focus of movement now will be on the breath. To fill and empty. Bring our knees back close, feet on the floor. And let's roll over onto your side and come up to all fours, coming onto your hands and your knees. Sorry, I just heard my phone ringer go on, so turn that off. Let's go ahead and start with some cat-cows. So notice the embodiment that's already occurred, the sense of movement in your body, of opening up joints, of loosening fascia, of getting fluids to move, of seeking a sense of presence, connection with your breath. We haven't even done a classic yoga pose yet, but well, I guess we have, but you know what I mean? We can do so much with so little. Sometimes we can do a whole practice without ever even getting off the floor, and we can feel really good. So try to have less expectations and more opportunity for just being spacious in your practice. All right, let's wag the tail. Okay, become like a fish. Let your whole spine kind of rock sideways like a fish swimming in the sea. And come to neutral, and let's do some pelvic movements. So put that paintbrush on your tailbone and paint a circle on the wall behind you, and just get some movement through your pelvis and your back. Make sure you go both directions. Okay, so notice which direction you went through first in these pelvic turnings. And so will be, our more habituated pattern. And then move the same into your rib cage. Let your rib cage have some rolls. And you can let your spine, your pelvis still do its rolling too. Try not to think too much. Your pelvis will follow the ribs unless you hinder it. Change directions. See if you can find that sense of spiraling in your body. And now get your head to do this movement too. Think less, feel more. Anything that makes you feel bad, if you get dizzy doing this with your head and your body swirling about, then stop. All right. Now come to neutral. Protract. Push the hands into the ground, rounding the back, and then a deep arc. Shoulder blades toward each other. Look up, touch your teeth, curl your toes under, and stretch back towards a child's pose. Your toes curled under. Again, opening up the bottom of your feet now, spreading your toe beds. And then come back up onto all fours, and let's lift all the way to dog pose. When you come into dog pose, take some time here. Let the feet pedal. Bending one knee, bending the other knee, letting that fascia wake up, letting a lot of the fluid in your body wake up and move. You feel deeply connected to your breath. Let's just find a bit of stillness and let the breath be what moves.
And find your body, bring your feet forward, come into Uttanasana. You can wag your tail here, shake your shoulders, bobble your head, bounce on your feet. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and relax. Rising up, arms coming to the sky, open breath. Exhale, hands down. Give your hands a good shake. Give your body a good bounce. And get some of all the, think of yourself as just a bag of fluid that needs to just be shaken up like you would fill up an Nalgene with some soapy sudsy water halfway and close up the lid and shake it to clean it. Okay, so just imagine that your body is filled with some nice warm soapy water and you're just cleaning yourself on the inside. Relax. Full breaths. Sometimes when we move a lot and we become still, we recognize stillness. Bit more in our practice today, a little bit more vinyasa vibes. And then we're going to get still at the end. So let's enjoy the movement. So open up a little bit of a back bend if it feels good. Maybe you want cactus, open your arms. I really encourage you to take the vinyasas exactly how your body wants today. Be intuitive, be creative, create any movements that your body's asking for. Big breath. And giant exhale, fold forward. You can follow me and you can make things up yourself. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale. Melt and fold. Let the whole back body lengthen. One more time. Feel your breath. A halfway lift as you fill up and a forward fold as you empty out. Let's step back, right foot front, left foot behind. First, just feel that calf stretch open, lengthen through your spine. Let's move with breath, straightening the front knee a little bit, bowing your head. Maybe your toes pick up. Inhale, maybe your knee bends and your heart really expands. Try to find this for yourself. Where do you want your breath to be? There's no rules. You don't have to inhale as you bend your knee and exhale as you straighten your knee. Notice what feels natural to you. As long as you're fluid, your body's moving, your joints are moving, your breath is moving. The most important rules to follow is, can I breathe? Do I feel stable? Do I feel free? And if these things occur, then you can modify and change anything for what you need in the moment. Okay, reaching your arms up to the sky if it's comfortable, a crescent lunge. Open up if it feels good. Put your arms somewhere else if it doesn't. See if you can feel that hip flexor on that back leg broaden. How's your breath? Interlace your hands behind you. Open up through your heart again. Feel the collarbones stretch big and wide. And then exhale, hands down, back foot comes forward, folding again. A halfway lift, open up, backs of the legs. Exhale, folding forward. Step your right foot back, come to a lunge on this side. Opening up your breath, filling up through your rib cage. Let's start moving. As you straighten your leg a little bit or a lot, whatever feels good, make sure you're following the rhythm of your breathing. Let your movements follow breath. In this way, when we allow the breath to be the leader, we become very aware of present moment breathing. Present moment awareness of the whole body increases when we let our breath guide us. Even though you're hearing the sound of my voice and hearing the sound of your breath, can you carve out a little bit of that space in your mind for quiet? Can you let quiet be not just about sound, but about movement in the brain, in the mind? Can you have a quiet mind? All right, so ground through your legs, root through your feet, feel and yield down. Sometimes giving attention to the body is just what the brain needs to quiet down. Okay, so let your mind wander inside your body and inside your breath. Give it this space to live in so it can move away from the pattern thinking. Notice your breath. Notice your grounding. Soften the base of your skull. Notice anywhere that's hiding a little tension. What can you do to open that space up, wherever it lands in your body? Let's take the hands behind us again. Interlace the opposite way. Open up across your collars. Feel your heart expand. Feel your breath expand. Place your hands down onto the ground, back to a dog pose. Start to find a little stillness within the movement. So as we come into a posture, instead of having a lot of mobility like the pedaling that we did in the beginning, seek stillness. Seek the awareness of your breath. Let yielding give you ground for your mind. Come forward into a plank and feel how sturdy you are. To make that plank with your body, imagine that you could bear a lot of weight across your back, like a person could lie on your back and still be able to support them. You're that stable. Breathing deeply. All right, let's put our knees down. If you need that, come on to your belly. Okay, do a couple of rolls through your shoulders. See what it feels like to open up. And then inhale, cobra pose. Let your back arch, feel the opening in the front body. Exhale, coming down. Arms wide, breathe in. Breathe out as you come back down. Come up, all fours, wag your tail around again. See those movements finding their way in your spine one more time like we did earlier. Maybe a fish, maybe some spirals, maybe nothing, maybe a child's pose. Finding, we're gonna eventually find a dog pose. If you're following, you can detour, go on your own little eddy in the river. Feel extension, feel breath. Walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale. Rising up. Bring your arms to the sky. And then bring them back down. Pause. Feel your stillness for a moment. Yielding, breathing. Take your legs wide on your mat and let's start with just a little bit of flow. Maybe your hands stay on your knees, maybe they move. And just getting into the wideness of your feet. Feel into your feet. Feel the groundedness that they have, that big, broad, like imagine you have big, giant clown shoes size feet. Where we have this deep roots. So come a little less movement now. A deep squat, lean forward, elbows inside your knees, and just open up your inner legs. Once you're here, maybe a little pulsing down toward the ground with your pelvis and then back up a little bit, down and up a little bit. So little small movements of pulsing into a deeper pose and release. And come all the way back up, standing star. Now, kind of check in with that dizziness that sometimes can happen as you go down and up. So if that's the case for you, I want you to be really mindful. Okay, so you can always modify anything. Standing star, take a deep breath in, exhale, down, 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 down. Inhale, up, up. Follow the breath. See if you can place the mind in the energy of this posture. Stay low, bring your arms out, and we're going to reach to one side, and then we're going to reach to the other side. And even though we're doing a lot of, moving and not necessarily staying a whole lot in postures today, you do you, okay? So if the movement is not good for you, or if the depth is not good for you, you make different choices. You finish with that last side. Stay in your goddess, ground into your legs, pump a couple times again where we're bringing our pelvis down and then a little bit back up. Breathing deeply. Standing star. Turn your feet out to the right, Virabhadrasana. Find your breath. We're not going to stay here a long time in stillness. We're going to keep moving arm up. Exhale, Parsvakonasana. Root into the feet, feel your way into your breath. Enjoy all the openness in your body. Straighten your leg for a moment, reach that arm up, and then find your way into triangle pose. Open breath here. Move your tail away from your head, spread your heart to your hands. Feel the grounding of your feet. Inhale, come up. And of course, if you're craving deep, steady, held poses, do that instead of what's on tap for me today. Okay. So back to Parsvakonasana. We're going to do some flow with our arms and our torso. Bring the arms here, and then up and out, back to a side angle. Breathing nice and stable with our legs, a lot of fluidity in our ribs and breath and shoulders and arms. One more time. How's your breathing? Come on up to stand. Turn your feet over to the right side. Find your way into Virabhadrasana. Drop the shoulders, ground into the feet. Feel the heart expand out to your hands. Full breaths. Getting your legs comfortable on this side. Let's reverse your warrior. And then come into Parsvakonasana. Shoulders away from the ears, feeling that full side body. Ground into your feet. Base of the skull is nice and soft. Relax your face, your jaw, relax your palms. And then we'll straighten our leg. Reverse your triangle pose. Let's find triangle pose. Bring your hand down onto a block or onto your leg. Open up, shoulders away from the ears, reaching toward your tail. Heart to hands, hips to feet, round. And then come back up. Reverse your triangle again, and then we'll start to move. So find your way into Parsvakonasana. Again, if the movement doesn't feel good in your body, then you do you. Make sure you're breathing. Try not to let this just be about our movements, but it's really about breath. It's really about your ribs moving, your torso, your spine, your shoulders. Deeply grounded in your lower body. And then come all the way back up. When you're ready, take your time. The standing star again. Deep breath, turn your feet out. Exhale. Coming back up. Let's repeat this one last time. Exhale, bending down into a goddess. Inhale, coming back up. Turn your feet straight forward and come down to rest for a moment in Pasrita. You can have your hands on blocks, you can have your hands on the ground, you can drop your torso and your head, whatever feels comfy. Full breathing body here. Enjoy the inversion that's living here. Let's find our way back to the front of our mat. Bring your legs neutral, hip width apart, finding dog pose. Maybe a little pedaling is in order. Maybe you'd rather be still. Breath in, come to a plank. When you're ready, lower yourself down to the ground. Back bend of your choice. Maybe you like to lift everything up. Maybe you like cobra or up dog or anything that feels good. Okay, coming to neutral. Bring your forearms in front of you. Sphinx pose, elbows under your shoulders. We're going to bring our right knee up high toward our armpit. Turn and look at your knee. Finding that little bit of a salamander. And then we're going to find a twist in this posture. So take your left arm, cross it over to the right, and we'll slide open into a twist. Take advantage of your head resting on the ground. Let it get heavy. Coming back to center. Switching sides when you're ready. Left knee up high, forearms on the ground. Feel that hip stretch. Turn and look at your knee. We'll come into the twist on this side. Cross the right arm over to the left. Twist open. Let your head stay on the ground. Maybe bring your left arm so the back of your hand touches the earth. Come back. Come up onto all fours. Move your spine, a little wagging of the tail. A little wiggle through your ribs and shoulders. And settle into child's pose. So we're shifting towards stillness now. We're going to do a couple of postures that are very quiet and still. So let's start with child's pose. And of course, if you want to put a bolster underneath you to lay your chest on, you can do that. Whatever feels good. Let your body breathe. Feel the compression through your hips, through your knees. Come lie down on your right side. We're preparing for a restorative posture here, but let's just get the rest of our body nice and free. We're going to grab onto our left ankle and just open up your quadriceps. Full breaths here. Let the sensations in your body tether the mind to the present moment. Living in the rhythm of your breathing. We're going to roll over onto our side. Don't do the other side yet. First, just come onto your back, rather. Sorry, not your side. Come onto your back. Put your foot on top of your knee. Reverse pigeon pose on this side. Breathe well. When you're ready, switch feet. Other foot on other knee. Reverse pigeon on this side. Heavy head. Relax the shoulders. You can hold your foot in your knee, or you can hold your shin, or you can hold the back of your thigh. And roll to your other side and come into the quad stretch here. Grab onto your ankle. Maybe you have a little support for your head. Tail toward your knee, pubic bone toward your navel. Keep your knee in line with your hips so it's not lifting toward the sky. And enjoy. Open up the fibers of your quads. Then come back. Find the ground for a moment. And while you're finding stillness on your back, you get to decide what restorative pose you want to do. So we're going to be here for a good, 6 minutes or so. So find one that you're comfortable in for a fairly, fair good stretch of time. Restorative poses, if we had like 2 hours, I'd have you doing 3 restorative poses, 15 minutes each. So definitely one of our endangered species is time. And so if you're choosing your pose, I'm going to do Supta Baddha Konasana, but maybe you're doing leg up the wall pose, maybe you're doing child's pose on the bolster, maybe you're doing heart bench, maybe you're doing plow pose, maybe you're doing Supta Virasana. Okay, so whatever works for you. I'm going to get all the props that I need, including pillows for my arms. Okay. All right, so whatever posture you're doing, make sure you have whatever props you need. So if you're in Supta Baddha Konasana like me, you can do this flat on the ground with no props practically, just a block under each knee. Or you can prop up like I am, where I have a ramp under my back. I have support under my knees, and I even have support under my forearms. So you can decide whatever pose you're doing and how you're supporting yourself in it. Once you get comfortable, see if you can close your eyes. Let your body receive the posture. Breathe your way here. Try to listen to the sound of your breath. See if you can elongate your breathing. It doesn't have to be a lot, but just a little bit of sensing that you have all this capacity to breathe, all this ability to let the breath go. Scanning for hidden places where you hold pockets of tension and teaching yourself to relax. We're ready to transition towards Shavasana. You can. If you're very, very comfortable where you are, you don't have to move at all. There's no rule that the last few minutes of your practice have to be lying flat on the ground. The most important thing is that you're deeply relaxed. So just anything that's needed to cultivate relaxation. Begin to deepen your breathing. Try not to move yet. Enjoy stillness, silence of it. Just bring yourself deeper into the yielding of your weight and fullness of your breath. Notice how good it feels to yield your body. Notice if that gives you a little freedom in your mind, a little ease. Eventually start to bring movement back into your body. Eventually find your way to your side. And very slowly breathe your way into the movement of coming to your side and then coming up to sit. Our yoga homework today is to carve out even just 10 minutes somewhere in your day of non-distracted solitude and silence, where there's nothing to do, nothing, no input coming in, just experiencing the moment, in whatever shape that takes. Bring your hands together. Let's bow. Let's offer our energy. And we send the presence that our practice cultivates within us outward as a healing balm to those around us. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.